Hey guys, we are super excited to share some of our biggest takeaways with you from our recent trip to Social Media Marketing World 2020 in San Diego. This is a huge conference with around 5,000 attendees that we've been keen to go to for a long time, and this year we finally made it a reality. This video is really only scratching the surface of the lessons we picked up from our time there, and they definitely focus more on the bigger picture strategic elements of running a property business. So there's nothing here about how to get more people to like your images on Instagram or which platform you should be posting on. Don't worry though, we've got a ton of that stuff as well, which we'll share in the future, but our focus today is on helping you strengthen the foundations of your property business. You'll see in a moment that it's so important to make sure we have this part of our business right before we jump into the tactics. So with that said, let's take a look at our top 5 takeaways.
So my first big takeaway was the idea of a marketing priority pyramid that, as the name suggests, really helped us get clarity on the marketing efforts we should prioritize in our own business and the order we should work through them. I've tweaked it a little bit to apply more directly to the property world, but the principle is the same. Now, until I heard about this, I was spending way too much time on the top of the pyramid, the tactical stuff, and I see so many other investors focusing on this area as well. Before we get anywhere near the top, we need to really dig deep into what our strategy is. Why are we even bothering to market ourselves or create a brand? Once we know that, we can look at who we're trying to speak to, who our customers are, whether that's investors, tenants, guests, the local community, or another group that we want to target. Next, we look at the messaging, the words and the language that we use to convey the right message and attract the right people, and what we're actually offering to them. Only once these elements are clear can we start thinking about the mechanisms, the tactics, the platforms that we use. Now that's a super quick overview obviously, but we've put together a guide for this specific takeaway that you can download to build the marketing pyramid for your own property business.
Okay, so my main takeaway from the entire event, both conferences combined, was a really simple one and one you've all heard countless times before. Be authentic. We've believed this for a long time, but it was so reassuring to have industry experts, people running million-dollar brands, people with humongous social followings, and people we look up to telling us the same thing over and over again. Gone are the days of social media needing to be a perfect filtered fairyland. What people want now is real life. People connect with real people and they want the good, the bad, the rough, the smooth, the emails from Steve and the life on the yacht. So much of business and indeed life is now done online, and people are starting to miss and crave real human connection. So by sharing more, allowing people to see your personality and being your own true authentic self, then you're providing a way for people to truly connect with you and as such want to do business with you. I went to a session with Scott McKain, who said the followers we attract are infinitely more valuable than the followers we pursue, and this really struck a chord with me, especially when you see so many people buying followers or audiences these days. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but instead of trying to be, embrace who you are and become more valuable to your people. Focus on delivering to your audience and the people who want you for you.
Next up for me was the idea of tracking our performance more. And in this instance, performance wasn't defined as creating or doing more, but specifically how we can create more from what we already have with the same level or ideally less resources. We're so quick to think that the answer to growing our income is to scale our business, take on more projects, more tenants, more debt, more staff. But for a lot of us with existing portfolios, there's so much value to be had from within our existing portfolios that we could be earning more money by focusing on performance rather than growth, without taking on any additional hassle. There's financial performance, looking at things like reducing void periods, increasing tenancy durations, reducing our finance costs, or minimizing waste during renovations. And then there's time performance. Can we implement processes or systems to get the same done in less time or with less human input? Can we automate things or outsource lower value tasks to lower cost labor so that our time is free to work on the higher value tasks or, heaven forbid, even enjoying ourselves? Working 70-hour weeks or constantly growing our portfolio does not make us successful, so let's switch the focus from working hard to improving our performance.
So a topic I didn't really expect to catch my attention is hiring, and there are a couple of points that I want to mention. Firstly, Greg Smith, CEO of Thinkific, said that you should only hire someone who can do 150% of what you can do. You need to think like a CEO, and whilst hiring people to take work off your plate is great, in order for your business to succeed and grow, you need to hire people who can do a better job than you can. Once I started thinking through this concept, I realised that we had already applied it to some areas of our business. For example, we started using a planning consultant, and yes, whilst he isn't a full-time employee, we're still paying him to do something that he can do a far better job than we could. Next up is VAs. Now, this isn't a new topic. We've been using our VA for nearly 5 years now, and whilst I've been waxing lyrical about her for all of this time, I realised that 1, we aren't really using her to her full potential, and 2, we need more VAs. Over the course of the 4 days in California, I could not believe the variety of work that people were getting the VAs to do, and honestly, I was sat kicking myself for not acting upon this sooner. Yes, it takes some time to find the right person and train them up, but you make that commitment now and you are going to reap the rewards long into the future.
The final takeaway for me was from Amy Porterfield, talking about how she scaled her business from 5 to 6 and then from 6 to 7 figures. And that was to stick with what you know and make each version, whether it's a product or a service you offer, better than the last. Every time you decide to invest in a different area, all of your previous analysis is wasted and connections with people like agents and contractors need to be renewed. If you decide to change strategy, you need to build new knowledge. It's going to take time to create a track record for banks and investors to trust you. Sometimes we need to change direction or focus, but let that be the exception rather than the rule. Now, we've got 2 great podcasts coming up with investors who really embody this. Anthony Hunter, who has stuck to single lets in the Northeast to build a phenomenal business, and Roland Simmons creating 8-bedroom HMOs in London. They know exactly how much they can afford to pay for the properties, they get deals sent to them from local agents, they know their renovation costs down to the penny, the planning process, and they can rinse and repeat what they know works for them and scale their business quickly. If you do a couple of single lets in Bristol, then an HMO in Nottingham, then think about flipping your nana's house up in Aberdeen, it's too disjointed for you to become an expert. To build strong relationships with contractors or agents, prove your model to raise finance, or put systems in place to improve your performance.
These really change the way we think about our business, and I'd encourage you to think about which ones resonate the most with you. You don't need to think about all 5 at the same time, and some of them you might already embody or even disagree with. That's fine. Take what you like and leave the rest behind. To help you out with 2 of them, we've gone into more detail on creating a marketing pyramid for your own property business and identifying the tasks that you can start to get help with by outsourcing to a VA, an employee or an agency to free up your time. You can access both of these for free at insidepropertyinvesting.com/free, or we'll stick a link below the video as well. Let us know which one makes the most sense to you in the comments, and we'd love a huge thumbs up if you like this video as well.